QAnon has moved off the internet and is coming for Congress. All right, let's watch this.
Pizzagate's real.
Came out about that.
Epstein did not kill himself.
You have Oprah Winfrey inside of the islands sexually trafficking children.
Where did you read that?
This is...
We're following a Save the Children rally. We're seeing people that are wearing some hashtags that are referred to the QAnon conspiracy theory.
Where we go one, we go all.
I see that that's a Q reference, right? Are you a supporter of Q?
Yeah.
QAnon is an expansive set of conspiracy theories that first popped up on the old 4chan message board in 2017. Q claimed to be an intelligence operative with information on a deep state plot.
What they're doing now to the kids is horrific.
Who's they?
Okay.
I'm
the
asking.
people that are stealing the kids and doing human trafficking and hurting people. Well, I don't know exactly who. I don't even want to get into that, but there's people doing it, and there's people out there doing it.
The central belief is that Democrats and celebrities...
You know what's crazy? Is that I would say that there's going to be some spillover from the people who are just like this, saying they are doing this whenever asked who's they have no answer. They have no response. They have no idea what the fuck that they're talking about. Something tells me that the spillover is between having no idea what the fuck you're talking about, but being incredibly confident in what you have read on QAnon, but also going on to other social media platforms like Twitter, and every single response to anybody with opposing opinions from the other side of the ideological spectrum, you are probably the same person who says, where's the proof? Where's the proof? Can you provide evidence to back that up? Can you provide me with empirical data? Can you provide me resource? Let me know where you got that from. I just feel like they're probably the same person to a certain degree. Like, they don't care that they have no evidence backing up their claims, but they are the first to demand it from the other side. It's such a double standard. Squad W, what's up? As soon as you provide a source, they immediately dismiss it too. Yeah, it's almost like they're not in the business of even really considering the empirically backed data that goes along with a statement, because if it's so easily dismissible in their minds, then of course they wouldn't need any true concrete evidence backing up the claims that they've read on QAnon. Squad Q. Empirical data is my favorite Star Wars character.
Trafficking children and drinking their blood. Q continues to drop cryptic posts called breadcrumbs for followers to use as jumping off points for research.
Isn't the person who is allegedly Q, isn't he like a well-known pedophile too?
It's sick what they do.
Reba Cheryl is one of more than 70 QAnon supporters who ran as Republicans in the primaries.
When Q came on the scene, I saw that this Q was saying the same things I knew to be accurate.
Which were?
About the fraud and corruption, about the human trafficking, about the treasonous acts that have been going on, the tyranny that exists in the United States and around the world. It's terrible what's been happening.
Cheryl put up $350,000 from her own pocket to fund her campaign here in Florida's 21st District, which is home to President Trump. She didn't win, but hasn't given up on her platform.
Hey, Reba, how are you?
In fact, Cheryl plans to run for Senate in 2022.
Hi, Will. How are you?
Before she could talk with us, she joined her campaign advisor for a political call.
On the phone right now are advocates for the 146 missing soldiers out of Fort Hood, Texas.
Soldiers have died at Fort Hood in individual cases of suicide and homicide, but for the people in this room, they are all connected to something more.
The belief and the working theory is that these soldiers that are missing and murdered are being used as part of a for-profit venture.
Hell yeah, she said that she doled out $350,000 of her own money to go toward her campaign.
Juarez drug cartels.
Money to blow.
And Sarge, correct me if I'm wrong, please. The working theory is that these drug cartels have infiltrated this very large military base, and that there is sex trafficking and organ trafficking going on with these missing soldiers. Sarge, would you like to add to that discussion?
Yes, I would. A lot of these commands are made very well aware of these incidences on their posts, rather than
And they ignore it.
The problem is it takes time, and it's a blemish on that record.
That's just like with the child sex trafficking. We have to
Infiltrate
face it.
QAnon?
We have to admit there's a problem, like the 12-step program. You know, the first step is you admit you've got a problem. We have a problem in Fort Hood, and this kind of shit needs to stop.
How did you find Q?
In my research and just staying on top of things, I came across it one day when I was looking at, I don't know, some comments on Fox News. I had watched a YouTube or something. I don't really remember exactly how it first came to my attention. So, Wheeling Against Tyranny.
Is that you?
That's me, baby. Second Amendment. And then I also designed this one because I am a Trump supporter.
Many Q followers, many of the folks that are intrigued by Q, also support President Trump. What do Q followers see in Trump?
Q really focuses on sedition, focuses on treason, focuses on the child sex trafficking. These are big issues.
And how is Trump related to that?
Well, I personally, I know the man. I know that he is focused on saving these children.
One of the biggest
That's
pushbacks
why,
against
honestly,
Q.
that is why he wished Ghislaine Maxwell well. That only makes sense. Honestly, this makes so much, it makes so much sense. Donald Trump, during a press conference, said, I wish Ghislaine Maxwell, known right-hand woman to the largest sex trafficker in American history, Jeffrey Epstein, well. That's how that works. Donald Trump is right on it. I mean, he is just ready, willing, and able to get down to the bottom of this child sex trafficking thing. Obviously. Clearly. Why? I don't understand, like, the amount of mental gymnastics that has to go into trying to pardon Donald Trump for his known association with Jeffrey fucking Epstein, while at the same time say that he is the beacon of hope, that he is going to fight alongside the rest of the QAnoners to get down to the bottom of this, as if he gives a flying fuck. He doesn't. He does not care. Oh, I'm so sassy today, chat. She knows Q the same way we know Amy. Wrong. Y'all know me way more and way better than how this woman knows Q. I put myself front and center. Oh God. There's no hiding. Alex Jones is Q. Daddy, Alex Jones did not tell you anything, alright? Alex Jones did not tell you anything. Come on now. Oh, God.
Is that they're making massive generalizations and characterizations with baseless claims.
I deal in facts and evidence.
But what you believe are facts, some people believe are simply
I've
lies.
lived it. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. No, I'm a conspiracy realist.
Oh my God,
Because I
no,
only
no,
talk
no,
about
no,
the things that
no.
I know for a fact.
When you make these...
Holy shit, no, wait. There's something wrong. There's something wrong here. There's something wrong with the way that these people's brains are wired. there's something wrong with the way that their brains are wired. If they really do in their mind believe that what they read on QAnon is actual and factual and empirically based evidence, we've got a problem here. We've got a fucking problem here. All right, that's it. Hold on. Mental illness in it. Well, the problem is that this let's say that this is just mental illness rearing its ugly head. I would say hundreds of thousands of people share the exact same mental illness. I mean, it's a commonality between every single person who is a QAnoner, conspiracy theorist, who has taken the Q pledge. I mean, it's something else. Conspiracy realist, BB. I'm sure that never mind. I was going to say something along the lines of, I'm sure that she's a realist in other respects as well, but I wasn't. A QAnon lady, yeah, Laura Loomer. And, who's the other one? Who's the one in Colorado? She's a QAnon conspiracy theorist as well, right? It's not mental illness, it's a widespread cult. I'd say that's more... it's more likely that is the case. Lauren Boebert. Lauren Boebert's the other one. The gun-toting, restaurant-owning, QAnoner from Colorado. People are easily manipulated. And Marjorie Green? I'm not familiar with Marjorie Green. Damn, people joining all kinds of cults these days. Am I missing out on anything good? No, I think cults are so creepy. So, okay, let's think about how a cult is formed. Like, how do you get followers? How do you garner that kind of support? You are predatory to a specific type of person who's easily susceptible to lies, easily impressionable, right? Easily impressionable, easily manipulated, very gullible, right? Hi, B-boy, very gullible. And you send a message that resonates with them, right? And so I would say that would be the common denominator. That unfortunately these people are easily manipulated. They are searching for something bigger than themselves. They are gullible, susceptible to falsehoods. And it is taken way. It's taken storm. The amount of people who believe this to be true is the issue. A good cult would just be a bunch of friends hanging. That's not a cult. That's not a cult. That's a circle of friends. That's people friendship. That's different. That's a different thing.
Vague claims that they are murdering and eating the flesh of children. I would love for you to tell us what is the reality behind that.
Yeah.
Who is they?
Well, the extent of all the people that are doing it, I have no idea. Why
is it on your campaign website?
Are hundreds of thousands of sealed indictments right now. I mean, I'm sure you remember Jeffrey Dahmer. I mean, he wasn't eating children, but he was eating human flesh. I respect life. That's why I ran as a Republican. But there are many things about the Republican Party that disgust me.
Tell me about that.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of fraud and corruption, just like on the Democrat side. They're both corrupt as hell.
Is this the future of the Republican Party, folks like yourself?
What I would love to see in politics in this country is the everyday person serving in Congress.
No, you're not a cult to me because y'all can leave at any time. I'm not going to force you to stick around. You are here because you want to. I would hope to think that I have not master manipulated you into staying. I would hope to think that you would just be genuinely interested in learning more about the housing dynamics in this country. And sometimes I do talk about the weird shit that happens in our country as well. But for fuck's sake, I'm not holding any of you all hostage. I mean, you come and go as you please. Well, if you say so. I mean... Who can take their eyes off the sweats? Yeah. Hold me hostage with knowledge. Hi. If you're new here, welcome. I'm pretty sassy sometimes. If you're coming in here for the first time and you're asking yourself, like, what the fuck is this? Hi. This is not a cult. Just, I want to clear that up really quick. This is not a cult. Hi. We're not a cult here. By your wonderful personality. Oh, thanks. Thank you so much. I think the official definition of a cult is a religion or a secret society that is small and goes against the set religious hegemony. Okay, so when you put it like that, Twitch has small scale cults. So we're a cult. Jesus Christ. This is definitely not a cult.
Right now are attorneys. And that's not what our country looks like.
But she wasn't the only unconventional candidate running in the president's district.
Ice cream. Come on, baby. Thank you.
I'm not a cult leader because I don't
Liz
have a pet
Felton,
lemur.
an exotic pet owner and former exotic dancer, doesn't consider herself a Q supporter, but she uses Q as a news source.
Oh.
You've never been in politics, right? Most people will see you and say, this is a pretty different type of candidate. Why did you decide to run?
So what's funny is, of the half dozen who ran on the Republican side, nobody was in politics. Not one of us. To me, that's
So she's a
promising.
Q supporter.
That
Yeah,
means
she's
that
a
I'm
Q
not the only
supporter.
person who's going, listen, the way things...
She sucks. Either way, I like the I like the fact that she has exotic animals and she was an exotic dancer. But she ran on the Republican. She ran as a Republican and she is definitely a Q supporter. Wait, they said that they say that she is not a Q supporter, but see, again, this is the issue. This is the issue here, where people are so willy-nilly and they are so wavering in their belief systems and in their political leanings that this lady is about to say that she's not a QAnon supporter. She just uses QAnon as one of her major sources of obtaining information. By definition, I'm not a QAnon supporter. I just go to QAnon to get all of my daily briefings. It's where I stay up to date on what's going on. It's where I stay informed. Like, you're literally like that. I don't understand how you can still engage in this kind of mental gymnastics and honestly try to convince yourself and others that you are not a QAnon supporter when you are.
Things are going right now isn't working.
In one of your recent TikToks, you used the hashtag QAnon.
QAnon. So QAnon.
Do you believe in QAnon? Do you believe in the movement?
Well, so here's the thing. It's crazy because Q is not one thing. Q is not one person.
What does it mean to you?
Q is millions of people taking stuff and fact-checking it. And for a long time, we would just believe whatever the media handed us. Okay, this is the story, this is the angle on the story, and this is what people are going to get fed. And people started going, wait, that's not. And I've seen it myself with the exotic animal stuff, and it's to push somebody's agenda. When you see hashtag Q, what I wanted people to know is I know you're there. I'm listening. I'm not ignoring you. Your beliefs, your thoughts, the way you're seeing things.
Okay, so and this is I'm sorry, I keep on pausing, but like I understand that political pundits fucking can be the worst. All right, they obviously have their own they obviously have their own political ideology that they adhere to, They typically incorporate their political leanings and their opinions, which is what they're supposed to do with their pundits. Fox News is not a good source to get objective journalism. We know that. CNN and MSNBC are both incredibly biased. They are center. They're more in the center, and they oftentimes do go directly against Donald Trump. They're both very never Trumper in their messaging. But you can't sit here and say that. You can't sit here and say that somehow the QAnon message board is providing more factual information than CNN or any other news source that is just providing objective journalism for the most part, with a little spin. Interestingly enough, I think that Donald Trump propagating this notion that news is fake, you can't trust it, you can't trust the fake news, that has resonated with so many people, whether they realize it or not. Maybe it is subconscious. It was a subconscious thing that started to manifest where they just lost all hope in the news. And there's not necessarily a bad thing with questioning your resources. And like I said, most major media publications or mainstream media news outlets do have a specific political affiliation. Or they provide the news through a specific scope. But again, I don't understand how, in your right frame of mind, you can think that QAnon is a more honest contributor to the news than some of the more center or center-left media outlets. And again, maybe this is my own internal biases rearing their ugly heads. But again, I don't understand the minds of these people, and it's driving me insane. It's driving me literally up the wall. I feel funny thinking about it.
That's every bit as important as what people are seeing on the mainstream news. I think it's important for people to feel heard.
One of the main principles of Q, right, is that there's political elite pedophiles that are part of this sex trafficking ring. Do you believe that?
I believe it's possible. And I believe,
what makes you believe that?
And I believe it's worth looking into. So this is where I pulled up my notes. Mm-hmm. So the first one I pulled up was Harvey Weinstein, who was convicted, right, of sexual. Okay, and so, typical Qs would say, oh, he was a Clinton donor, right? Mm-hmm. And her answer was that, well, he donated to all the Democrats. Huma Abedin, her husband, that's Hillary's right-hand woman, or was, her husband was convicted of sending pictures to an underage girl, a 15-year-old girl. Bill Clinton had denied being on Jeffrey Epstein's island. Pictures have just surfaced of Bill Clinton with one of the victims.
We're talking about child sex trafficking, and there's a difference between cases and making a generalization that Democrats are inciting this.
How many pedophile-ish, child trafficking-ish people do you have to have around you before people say, we should look into that? And that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that, oh, these are all facts. What I'm saying is that when you get enough questions about something, you go, well, let me look into more. I know one of the theories is that Hillary Clinton was, a Satan worshiper and, doing sacrifices with babies. I don't know. The only thing I could find was that Saul Alinsky made a dedication to Satan or Lucifer in his book, and she really admires his work. So that's the only connect. So unless somebody does a study.
You don't believe it?
It's a question. It's just a question. I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of I don't know out there until things are confirmed.
Tell me why you support Trump.
I like the openness. I really like the openness.
Isn't it amazing, though, that you can literally say anything on these QAnon conspiracy theory message boards, like Hillary Clinton drinks the adrenochrome from babies in order to look 10 years younger and feel 10 years younger. And some of these people who are apparently the more reasonable will only take this with a grain of salt, because there's nothing proving that she doesn't suck the adrenochrome from baby skulls before a major political debate or something. And so for that reason, it's just a big old, I don't know, maybe she does, maybe she takes a fucking straw and just puts it right into the fucking skull of a baby and siphons the adrenochrome from the baby's skull. There's nothing saying that she doesn't do it, so I guess I'll just put a big old question mark next to whether or not she does. Like, what the fuck? Like, still, and this sounds like one of the more reasonable QAnoners. Like, that's the thing. Where it's like, I don't need proof. But then I do kind of need proof to disprove what I read from the QAnon message boards. It's a circular logic. You don't need something to be laid out in black and white for you to feel incredibly confident that this is 100% real, true, accurate, happening. No empirical data necessary. No concrete evidence necessary. But at the same time, you're going to need that concrete evidence to disprove whatever was written on these message board if it's about a political candidate that you're not particularly fond of, if they are a member of the Democratic Party. Yeah, it's just kind of, we've got a false dichotomy going, Chad. It's a false dichotomy of sorts to a certain degree.
The social media, same reason I like Q. Just, it's a direct line to question everything that's going on.
The winner of Felton and Cheryl's race was Laura Loomer, a self-described proud Islamophobe. Though she's not a vocal Q follower, she used to be a correspondent for InfoWars, a site known for
Who the fuck
peddling
is a
conspiracies.
self-described proud Islamophobe?
She's now been embraced
Hold
by
on,
the
Chad. I
GOP.
need some cheese.
I was honored on Tuesday to receive a phone call from Ronna McDaniel, the chairwoman of the Republican National Committee, who also paid me some wonderful compliments. She told me that I'm a political rock star and a change agent for the Republican Party.
In other states, unconventional candidates are hoping to get that same reception. QAnon-linked Republican candidates are on the November ballot in 11 states. The highest profile, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who posted support for QAnon online.
I don't know who Q is, but I'm just going to tell you about it because I think it's something worth listening to.
President Trump congratulated her and even invited her to watch him accept the nomination. During the week of the RNC, Loomer spoke at Club 45, a gathering place for Trump's biggest fans. It's also where QAnon supporters and Republicans intersect.
Why are people so afraid?
Son of a beach. Absolute son of a beach. All I was saying was, thank you so much, young Andrew, for the 10 tier 3 gift subbies. I was just saying, if you are one of the lucky 10 gifted subbies, make sure you spam that tier 3 emote, even though it's incredibly embarrassing. That's why it's there. Go on and share that in every chat. Spread the good gospel of Amy C3, which is not a cult, by the way. Not a cult. We're not a cult. No cults here. Welcome.
To embrace Q.
For the stigma of being labeled a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
And I don't think people want to be labeled that. But if you really do enough research, which is what QAnon recommends every individual does.
Yeah. I'm definitely
find out for
eating cheese,
yourself,
yeah.
and then you decide for yourself, which is what America is. It should be people that think freely for themselves and then decide what they want to believe.
As a Q supporter, do you feel like folks in this room support you?
I don't know, they support Trump. I support Trump.
For QAnon voters, Trump's re-election is essential.
Donald Trump is pushing towards an
Colby Jack
anti-corruption
cheese.
campaign. Q is also pushing an anti-corruption campaign, and they both meet in the middle of government corruption.
Sergio Michel is a Q follower who attended Club 45 to support the president. Dissatisfied with the greater GOP, he sat down with us to tell us how Q is now informing his vote.
Q has empowered and emboldened the average individual who has never looked for a conflict in their life to be out and open and outspoken about corruption.
Will those folks be voting for Trump in November?
Yeah.
Where exactly does Q fit within the larger Republican Party?
It has a place because the Republican Party has shifted from the old school kind of country club Republican to the MAGA person who wants corruption to end. When you look at the MAGA movement, it ultimately comes
because
down
nothing
to
screams to
those
me
things.
like nothing screams to me more. Godpunk, thank you so much for gifting 10 tier 1 subbies as well. Thank you. I mean, Chad, I don't know about you, but whenever I think of MAGA, I think of like anti-corruption. Just think Donald Trump is the symbol of anti-corruption. Just don't even worry about it. Don't even look into it. Don't do that research. Take my word for it. Donald Trump, the epitome of anti-corruption. Thank you, Paul, for gifting a tier 1 subby as well. Oh, y'all triggered a hype train. Oh, you shouldn't have. Thank you all so much. Poogies.
Things are the fault of politicians who are lining their own pockets and betraying the American people. Q says that there is corruption that is enabling child trafficking and all kinds of other unholy, unseemly stuff. They are simpatico. And since MAGA has taken over GOP,
Level 5.
Okay, Q is being absorbed into MAGA, thus means that by the time the next election cycle comes, the people of Q will basically be the quintessential average right-winger.
There's no doubt QAnon's influence is growing. During the lockdown alone, QAnon Google searches spiked, and membership for QAnon Facebook groups surged, reaching millions. And now, they're meeting up in real life.
The Q movement is about truth. Trump represents our country, and there's nothing that will keep me from voting for him.
QAnon followers were among those who gathered at the...
Yeah, so just a few things. Trump was impeached. Trump apparently said behind closed doors that he has to hold on to any attempts by the Ways and Means Committee to grab hold of his tax returns because it'll be no good for him. What else? I mean, the whole conspiracy of working with Russia to undermine the 2016 election was kind of a wash, but no mail-in ballots. Yeah, I mean, that's just like the most recent political scandal that he's working on, is trying to defund the United States Postal Service in specific areas where mail-in ballots that would skew the results of the election in favor of Joe Biden would be frowned upon, right? And so it kind of seems that there is a bit of a pattern here between specific areas where United States Postal Service is experiencing massive budget cuts, and political leanings. Which districts are most likely to swing in favor of Joe Biden? Which districts are historically blue districts? Things like that. People are really starting to dissect this and look at it all the way down to the district level to see whether or not there is an actual correlation. But again, not to get too conspiratorial on you, yet it's all still very new. And there has not been any empirically backed evidence suggesting that this is 100% the case. So we're not going to jump ahead and say for a fact that this is what Donald Trump is working on behind closed doors. But, there's been some discussions, some initial discussions that this could be a very, this could be this could be a covert operation, a concerted effort to try to undermine the democracy and undermine the results of the election, our democracy, as much as possible in order for Trump to seek re-election. In Q orgies, they say, where we come. Do you guys think we'll be living in Dark Souls in like 3 years?
Red Pill Roadshow, a free speech event to celebrate the president's nomination at the RNC.
What we've seen so far is that MAGA and Q are completely intertwined. What started as an internet movement right in the dark corners of 4chan or an 8chan is starting to morph into something that has a physical aspect to it, right? It's people in a space, building a community, and the question is, how will the Republican Party embrace that?
There are people that are staunch Republicans that follow QAnon. It does not have an official role in the Republican
In your
Party.
eyes, should it?
I don't think so. It's part of where people get information from, which is great.
Peter Feeman is a liaison to the Republican National Committee. He helps push the party's platform in Florida.
Does the Republican Party need their vote?
The Republican Party needs everybody's vote who's concerned about the corruption in Washington, D.C. Some of that includes people who follow Q, absolutely. QAnon is slowly revealing things about the deep state and the swamp that people need to know. And so President Trump embraces that in some respects because he's there to drain the swamp as well.
As the National Committee man, are you willing to disavow Q?
Q is a people's movement, and whether it has a place in the Republican Party formally or not is not really the issue. Q is important because questions are being raised about the deep state.
Don't you love that during the RNC, almost every single speaker did mention the insurgence of socialism within the Democratic Party? And this is all kind of hearsay because there isn't the same amount of intimacy between those who are in favor of socialism and those who are actively running in members in specific districts. I mean, you have the Justice Democrats. You have a brand new Congress, but there's nothing that's comparable to QAnon. This is more so a political ideology. It's more policy based than anything. And you don't have the same kind of bear trap that's trying to like hone people into this certain type of ideologically based group, the same way that you're seeing QAnon kind of rope in these people and that connection between QAnon and MAGA in the same capacity as, you know, the Justice Democrats and, you know, the ideals of social spending, right? These people look hardly working class. Hey, rechat. Okay, sorry, I'll rechat now. Say bye to Paul. Bye, Paul. Have a good night. It's not that they're swayed by it, but they're looking for easy, fun, bigoted bullshit that gives them something to do. They don't give a fuck about trafficking victims. How sad is it, though, that they hide behind their interest to save the children in order to just uphold these bigoted ideals and try to maintain the legacies of racism, white supremacy, xenophobia, and all the other white supremacist and white nationalist ideals in which this country was built upon. Blue-collar workers voted for Kennedy in the mass primary. It was the suburbs that saved Markey. Why do you think that is, Amy? Blue-collar workers voted for Kennedy because I think that blue-collar workers have been led to fear the prospect of a Green New Deal. And if they're blue-collar and they rely on a fossil fuel industry, if they rely on fracking, oil, natural gas, any type of industry where their job security could be at risk, that might have something to do with it, perhaps. A quick mini case study in manufacturing consent and propaganda. Because they're fucking stupid. I would say, if anything, I would say more so than anything else, they are fearful that they will lose their job and they will not see it in time because there is not a plan to swiftly transition from fossil fuel to renewable energy, and that scares a shit ton of people. Blue-collar workers who right now work in the fracking industry, work in oil, natural gas, things like that. We're almost done with this video. Oh, we are done. The less educated you are, the more you get. I don't think that's nope, Sim Daddy. That's not fair. That's not fair. We're not gonna say that. That's like borderline ableist. I do think that there are some ill-informed people out there. I do. I don't think that they are necessary. I think that some, depending, I would say that conservative working class voters are more likely to vote against their own self-interest in the name of their in the name of their ideological preference, like Second Amendment rights, being pro-life. And for that reason, it's really sad to see congressional Republicans or any Republicans in a position of power who holds public office to use poor conservative people as their poker chip to garner support and maintain the status quo of the Republican Party that is just basically austerity and limitations to our social spending as much as possible, which is just austerity. But yeah, no. I don't necessarily know if it's fair to assume that there is some sort of connection between lower educational attainment and voting, and maybe there is. Maybe I just completely I might have just contradicted myself. But I think there's a higher probability that working class conservatives are voting against their own self-interest. And maybe it's because they don't have the necessary tools or the capacity to understand how they are pawns in a political game. In the case where, and it goes back to distinctly remembering some African Americans in the southern states say that they were offended by this idea that they were being painted as low information voters for supporting Joe Biden over Bernie Sanders. And I know that these are two very different things as well, but I think it goes back to not wanting to make any grand assertions whenever we don't necessarily know what is the relationship between educational attainment or socioeconomic status and the way in which they vote. Working class in both parties are voting against themselves. That's true.
I bet I could smoke you, I could roast you, and then you'd love it, you text me I love you, and then I'd fucking ghost you.